Welcome to Small Cap CEO Interviews, a production of Agoracom, in which we take the time to speak to small cap executives about great things happening at their companies. With me today, I'm happy to have John Fowler. He's Director of Operations at Supreme Pharmaceuticals. The company trades on the CSE under the stock symbol SL, and you can find them on the web at this great domain, supreme.ca. Now, for those of you who are new to the show, who are new to the story, and there's going to be a few of you, Supreme is a Canadian-owned and operated company whose mission is to produce sun-grown medical marijuana of the highest standard, quality, and value. Now, more than just lip service, the company has made significant progress in construction and required security. It's 342,000 square foot facility in Kincardine, Ontario. In addition to that, they've made significant progress in implementing a proposed plan to produce up to 24 million grams of medical marijuana. The company has received conditional pre-approval letter from Health Canada. They're in receipt of the required security clearances for the key personnel. And on the local front, the company has received all necessary approvals from the municipality, so they made great progress. John, welcome to the show.
Hi, George. Thank you for having me. Very excited to have a chance to talk to your audience about Supreme today.
All right, well, let's get straight to it because you guys have done some pretty incredible things. The first one, especially in this environment, the company is able to knock down $1.78 million of funding recently. Let's talk about the importance of that funding to both the business and what it means in terms of completing your massive facility in Kincardine.
So obviously with a project like ours, we're operating out of a 350,000 square foot greenhouse, which is approximately 7 NFL football fields of size. CapEx is a big burden for us. We have a lot of expenses to do to get us ready for the MMPR, from security to retrofitting an agricultural greenhouse to grow high-quality pharmaceutical-grade medical marijuana. So obviously we've needed great support from the investor community. As you mentioned, the 1.7 that we closed recently, that was originally a $1 million financing that twice, due to investor interest, we had to go back and increase what we could take in. But more importantly, looking at the bigger picture, since the summer, we've been able to raise close to $8 million in the equity markets in what's been generally a difficult market and very difficult for our peers in the space who are public currently.
So what does this mean in terms of completing the facility? How much further does this get you along in terms of, and do you have an ETA, a ballpark ETA for when the facility might be ready to go?
What this gets us is enough financing to get us through the pre-license construction phase. So we're looking at about the next 2 weeks to finish up last little bits of construction, put the last few cameras in, commission the last few systems, and we anticipate around the end of the month giving Health Canada notice that we're ready for our pre-license inspection. For those not familiar with the process, Health Canada will come in, inspect the facility, make sure everything has been built the way we proposed when they pre-approved their application, and assuming that inspection goes well, and we have every reason to think it will, we'll be issued a licensed producer status, and we'll be able to start cultivating medical marijuana.
All right, so you guys are imminent. That's fantastic for everyone at home to hear. I find this interesting, the fact that you're going about your manufacturing process, your production process differently. You're using a greenhouse model versus standard warehousing. Tell me about why you guys went that way and why that gives you an advantage in the marketplace.
So when these new medical marijuana rules were put in place by our government, we saw it as an opportunity to really take medical marijuana production to the next level. So whereas some folks have taken the basement grow up, if you will, injected a lot of cash into it and made a big warehouse version, we really saw this as an agricultural commodity first, and we decided that we needed an agricultural facility to do so. So we looked all across Ontario for the best place to do this and finally settled on this large greenhouse in Kincardine that would give us the economies of scale needed to really make a very advanced, high-tech agricultural facility, and that means things like automation of a lot of the tasks in the greenhouse, and just the benefits that you get from the natural sunlight in terms of environmental savings, cost savings, and there's also a quality benefit gained from the type of light the sun provides. But more importantly, we've then taken our greenhouse and made construction repairs and changes to it to basically give us the best of both worlds. So what we've done is divided the greenhouse into areas that are more suitable to climate control that allow us to provide a completely standardized crop right throughout the year, which is what the medical community wants to see. So really it's the best of both worlds. It's standard like growing in a warehouse, but much more efficient due to the benefit of the natural light.
You guys are, in fact, not just having the town remain silent on the issue, but you're actually getting support from your town and your local municipality. What is it you guys were able to do to really get the support of the township behind you?
So we were very lucky to have chosen the greenhouse facility in Kincardine. We chose it because of the greenhouse itself, but we're just blown away from the support from every level in the town. So from the day we moved out there in June, we moved our management team up so they could be local and started the construction process. We've just had support from the lady in the coffee shop to the teller at the bank, right up through the mayor and the local MP. So this is the community where it can take 6 months plus to get a building permit to put up a barn. We had our building permit approved in just a number of weeks. We've had contractors, really skilled contractors, move schedules around to help us get our project going on the timeline. We've deployed close to $4 million in Kincardine since June, and that takes a great commitment from our management team, who's very skilled, but also a commitment from the local contractors to come in. They work weekends. They just get it going because they want to see this succeed. And something that was really nice for me is all summer I had tradespeople, very skilled tradespeople who wanted to come and volunteer. As a public company, you don't often get volunteer offers, and finally I had to let them come, and we had about 25 folks come on a Saturday to give us a day of labor just so they'd stop calling me. But it really was fantastic. And then just last week, we had a job fair at the local hotel. We advertised 20 positions over the next month, and we had close to 600 folks show up from the local community for this job fair. So things like that just reinforce that we really chose the right location in terms of the greenhouse to provide a high-value, low-cost proposition for our patients, but also somewhere where the local town and the local residents are fully in support of what we're doing, and it just makes our job so much easier.
Well, when you've got a mutually beneficial relationship going with the town folk, and that's always gonna bode well for the future of the company and that facility specifically. Let's talk about your business model. You're taking the value proposition of Supreme is you're almost taking the Walmart approach to medical marijuana. You want to drive down costs to the consumer, and at the same time being a real disruptor in the industry. Talk to me about why you're taking that route and how you think that's going to ultimately lead to a big win for the company.
Correct. So this all relates to the opening proposition that this is an agricultural commodity. First, we went into a very large agricultural facility, and our goal is to produce the highest quality medical marijuana, but at a cost patients can afford. One thing, I have a 10-year background working with patients in the medical marijuana space, and a large portion of the people that we're eventually selling to are on fixed income or disability or low income, and they're spending a large portion of their weekly or monthly allowances on medical marijuana. So from a business perspective, you know, it's really nice to be able to help somebody out and give them a low-cost alternative that's also going to drive market share. So it's really a win-win proposition for the company. The end goal as well also is to drive down the cost of medical marijuana to the point that insurers will consider insuring the medicine, because it's really it's too bad for the patients that this is right now one of the only medicines in Canada that insurers aren't touching.
Let's talk about the state of the industry. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about. So on your website, you actually state we're in the sunrise of medical marijuana. So where are we going to be 5 years from now in terms of medical marijuana, in terms of acceptance, doctors getting on board and actually prescribing it? Where do you see things going, and why?
So I really think internationally this is the beginning for medical marijuana. I mean, medical marijuana has existed here and in the United States for many years, but sort of as a cottage industry. Canada's the first jurisdiction I'm aware of to have a top-to-bottom, fully regulated system that commercializes medical marijuana and institutes really high levels of quality controls and standardizations. So what the industry now, the onus is on us to reinvest into the industry, pay money towards research to get doctors in support of the product. There's mountains of anecdotal evidence and some limited clinical evidence that medical marijuana has a host of benefits for a number of ailments, and it's incumbent on the industry to now pursue that research and really get doctor support. So I know a few companies that are already licensed have begun those studies, and right now we're very active building relationships with universities, with clinical researchers, and with other scientific community members to help us decide where best to allocate resources to drive research, and really the end goal is to drive doctor support and put some scientific credibility behind the anecdotal results that anyone in the medical community knows, or the medical marijuana community knows exists.
Yeah, and I'll tell you from a personal experience recently, had an uncle going through chemotherapy, and this is, you're talking about a traditional Greek immigrant who's been here for a number of years, no nonsense kind of guy, and he was actually considering the use of medical marijuana in order to reduce the side effects and pain that come from chemotherapy. So that's what told me that medical marijuana has a fantastic potential to grow beyond what a lot of people see as the target consumer, as the target medical base right now. Are you seeing the same thing on your end, that once we really progress and there's some acceptance out there, that you're going to get patients using it that a lot of people wouldn't even consider today?
Absolutely. So a large number of patients I talk to are folks who use medical marijuana that never use marijuana recreationally. These are folks who, maybe they heard a friend used it, or a progressive doctor suggested it, and they find personally the results to be quite fantastic. But this is what I'm talking about in terms of the large volume of anecdotal evidence. Anyone that operates in the medical marijuana space probably knows dozens, if not more, of individuals with a story similar to yourself. And it's, like I said, it's incumbent on the industry to start working on the clinical research to get doctors motivated to accept that, because doctors are trained to prescribe based on double-blind studies and large medical research, and they don't prescribe based on a story that you can tell them. So it's up to the industry to drive that forward, drive doctor support, and really open up access to what I think is a fantastic medicine.
Well, John, I really want to thank you for being on with us today. The Supreme Pharmaceutical story is only beginning, and if the industry is in its sunrise, Supreme Pharma is definitely in the sunrise as well. So we look forward to having you and other members of your team back on Agoracom in the coming weeks and months, over the next 12 months and beyond, as you guys progress. And I really want to thank you for taking the time out to talk to everybody today.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime. We're happy to have a chat with you.
You've been watching John Fowler. He's Director of Operations at Supreme Pharmaceuticals. The company trades on the Canadian Security Exchange under the stock symbol SL. You can find more information about them on the web at supreme.ca. And for Agoracom members, make sure to punch in the company's stock symbol or name to read the company's profile, watch interviews like this, and collaborate with other fellow investors on Agoracom. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.